Okay, welcome back. Um, what's happening? Oh, do you buy like charts from him or something? I want to talk about this song because I really like it. Oh, I wanted. Okay, okay, whatever. Blah 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 blah. So this is the obviously this is the open world song that every Zelda game has. And it works really well. I think that's where I want to go. So let's make the wind blow east. I mean west. Up. It works really well as like a call to adventure song. West, I think. And I like it a lot for that reason. It also does. It has this rolling effect. You can't hear it right now, but it's the part where it goes. I like that because I don't know. It sounds silly when you explain it, but just like you're on the ocean, and it fits really well. So, like you're rolling with the waves, and it's back and forth. I think that's this part. I feel like that's. I've never heard anybody say that that's what he's going for when he made that, but it seems obvious to me that like you're on the ocean and thematically like you're back and forth and just on the waves and just this rolling effect of the music. I always like doing this cinematic swooping when I was a kid. I had a topic that I wanted to talk about, and it was kind of heavy might be the right word. I don't know. It must have been on a podcast or something. But I hear this next topic is about God. I feel like I do talk about God a lot. I think you're supposed to. No, get away from me. I must have heard on a podcast somebody talk about most podcasters are that I listen to are probably atheists or so. I heard one of them say, "Oh, right, left, down." Okay. Something I hear a lot people say, pretty common thing. How can God exist? How can the the God who's all good exist and allow like babies to have cancer or tragedies to happen? Is that the Day Night song? The answer most Christians will give, and that the Bible kind of gives, is without pain, there's no joy. So if you want to think about God sitting up in heaven creating humans, maybe he thought, I can make them happy all the time, but then they're just I don't know what he thought. I can make them happy all the time, maybe they won't appreciate it, maybe they won't enjoy their lives, maybe they'll just all kill themselves, or maybe he created a universe where that was the case and it didn't work out the way he wanted it to, so he restarted. The one thing that bothers me about the whole situation is just that why did he have to turn the pain knob up so high? Like, couldn't he just... I've never had a child, but the idea of losing a kid to cancer or something, like, I've been depressed and I've had anxiety, and it hasn't been enjoyable. So I can imagine that kind of thing is like 100 times worse. But why does it have to hurt so much? Couldn't he have just, like, when he was adjusting the sliders on the universe simulation, couldn't he have just turned the pain knob down a little bit? Maybe it doesn't hurt that much. I've never broken a bone or had anything really tragic ever happen to me, so I don't know. I guess I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but I guess I'm just thinking about other people's experiences. Okay, here's what I was thinking. I think if people kill themselves, that's the threshold for... If people are in so much pain that they have to kill themselves, that's the threshold for causing someone too much pain. So if you create a universe where human beings are killing themselves, then your pain knob is too high. You need to turn it down. What's the point of people killing themselves? What's the end game for that kind of thing to happen? Okay, the other thing was, so say you have somebody who has a kid who has cancer and dies, and they're in, like, an insane amount of pain because of it. And they go to a pastor or something, and they say, why did this happen? Why did God take my kid? Or however they want to phrase it. The only answer I feel like the pastor can give is, sometimes they say, well, God has a plan, and that's never satisfying. So the only satisfying answer would be, you went through this for a reason. Maybe you have to help people. Maybe you can help other parents with their kids who die, or maybe you can raise awareness, or and that's the reason why God caused or let this happen. That's part of his plan. And they would also say something like, well, you don't know what the plan is, so if you have faith, you trust God, and you try to go along with the plan and trust that there is a plan. Was that there the whole time? But how, in that moment, when that person... Okay, this is probably isn't important, so I'm just... I can skip this guy. Oh, I gotta get my Game Boy Advance out. So I'm just imagining if I was that person and I went to a pastor and they told me that, I would tell them, I would question them, like, there are people who live totally fulfilled lives. They feel joy, and they have purpose, and they live their lives completely happily, and they don't have to have their son die. So what's the point for me, for this to happen to me? Why do I have to feel so much pain when other people are allowed? Why would God create a system like that, where some people are just unlucky and they feel an unbearable amount of pain, and some people get to feel joy without the tremendous pain? Like that guy, that hypothetical guy who has a perfect life, and he feels some pain, but he still gets to experience the joy because he has a little bit of pain in his life. Is that person... For the person whose son dies, the joy is never going to be worth the pain. It's too much. And so sometimes they kill themselves. That's a dead end. Oh. So like, if my solution, if I'm God, is just turn the pain knob down. Don't make everything hurt so much. Then people won't be... but do I want to go through that maze? Part of the thing that hurts people is seeing other people in pain. Like if you see your son who has cancer, has to do chemotherapy and whatever, you think it's so terrible that they have to experience this excruciating pain every day. What's the point of unbearable pain, excruciating pain? That's what everybody's afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. When I was in grade school, I remember we had to do this. We did this thing where we had to say what our biggest fear was. We did like, I don't know, a personality thing where we're like, what's your favorite thing and what's your biggest fear? And I remember what I wrote down was, I think it was 5th grade. I wrote down dying. My biggest fear is dying. And I remember my dad saw it and he talked to me about it. He's like, you don't have to be afraid of dying, because when you die you go to heaven, and we'll be there, And so don't worry about it. You're a Christian, so. But I didn't write I was afraid of being dead. I wrote down I'm afraid of dying, and I still am. I'm afraid of pain. I'm afraid of today I was reading about an article about a lady who drowned in her car because she like fell off a bridge or something. I'm afraid of that. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of those 5 minutes when you can't breathe and it's unbearable. That's dying. That's what I'm afraid of. I thought you can get these bombs. Whoops. I thought at night he was gone or something. That was the gist of it. I want to do one thing today. One important thing in this town. I guess I got the sun song, but I want more. I think a lot about. I guess I make the mistake of thinking about God like a person, like me. What would I do if I was God? What kind of universe would I create? You're not really supposed to think that way, because God is... You can't know what God is thinking, because he's not a human. He doesn't think like us. And he has a different perspective. I think it's kind of funny how the whole point of the Jesus story is so God kind of becomes human so that he can understand what we go through, and that's part of it. The main part is to take on the sin of the world so that we can all go to heaven and ask forgiveness and be forgiven, because only perfection can get into heaven, and nobody's perfect, so that's the whole spiel. But it's kind of funny. It comes across a little bit like God saying, I came down to earth and I was perfect, so what's the big deal? Why can't you guys figure this out? Yeah, I felt pain. It was bad, but I dealt with it. Sometimes when I read the Bible, that's how I feel. I know that, I mean, nobody, I know it's a silly thing to think, but sometimes I think that's kind of funny. Like, God's in heaven and he's hearing all these prayers that are like, you don't know what it's like to be a human. It's hard. You know, we got all this stuff we gotta worry about, and it hurts when you stub your toe, and so you don't know what it's like. If you knew what it's like, you'd be easier on us. And God's like, okay, I'm calling your bluff. I'm coming down there. And he comes down, and he's perfect. And he redeems all humanity with his perfection. And he gets crucified and he goes through all this pain, the worst pain imaginable. Is this the Picto box? Like, he picks his moment. What would be the worst? What he knows? What's the worst way to die? Okay, being crucified. When did they do that? During Roman times? Okay, so I'll go down during Roman times and I'll get crucified and I'll show all these humans that they're just being babies. It's not a big deal. That's kind of funny. There is that moment when Jesus is on the cross and he does the Jesus-y thing where he's like, Father, forgive them for they don't know what they've done or what they're doing. But then he has the moment, what does he say? Why can't I remember? He questions God. What does he say? Ah, this is gonna drive me crazy. It's like my favorite part of the whole crucifixion thing. When Jesus is like, he has a moment where he's like, okay, this kind of hurts. Stop. God, help me. And then the sky like turns black and it's like God has left him behind or something. Okay, I got the Picto box, so that's good for today. It's gonna bother me until I look this up, so maybe I'll cut this part out. Oh, okay, this is it. I don't know. The sayings of Jesus on the cross. Thank you, Wikipedia. What? 7 sayings. Okay, this is interesting to me, so we're just gonna read these. 7 sayings. The traditional order. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Number 2. Top 10 Jesus sayings. Number 2. Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. Women, behold your son. Son, behold your mother. My God, why have you forsaken me? That's the one. 5 is, I thirst. 6 is, it is finished. 7, Father, into thy hands I commit my spirit. Forgiveness, salvation, relationship, abandonment, distress, triumph, reunion. That's a Catholic thing. They always have to make everything all nice and organized, and it's the 7 sayings of Jesus on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? Jesus said that on the cross to God. It was like, I am. That's it. To me, that's him saying, I'm done with this. I changed my mind. I don't want to do this anymore. It hurts. And that's my favorite part. Because he's actually acting like a human. Like, I know we had this whole great plan about saving humanity, going on the cross, but you didn't tell me it was going to hurt this much. Oh, now that I have the Picto box, I can go talk to those kids, I think. But first I have to drown. This episode went kind of long. I think I should probably just end it there. I think the last episodes of the day usually go pretty long because I want to finish my thought and I won't remember it next time. But yeah, that's all I have to say. See you next time.